Okay, so I want to go ahead and introduce myself a little bit. My name is Yanjun Abram, and actually, I'm probably the one start teaching the weekend college a long time ago, probably for almost like 10 years ago. When we started weekend college. Um, as I said earlier, we used to meet like we used to meet like in person, but I think the virtual one is even better. I also have a class that is totally online. And the one thing is, the totally online, and I think this is a perfect one, right? This is called a hybrid. So we meet once a week. So that way you can ask any question you have in person. I think it's the best, for the both, that kind of thing. All right. And the course I teach is very variety because I teach it from all the way from developmental math to the calculus, Cal 1, Cal 2, and so on. And somewhere in the middle, right? Like the college algebra, business math, business calculus, statistics as well. Okay. And this class actually is only 7 weeks. Okay, so we only have 7 weeks, and we meet 6 times only because the last week is supposed to be the final exam, and we don't meet on the last day of the 7 week, that kind of thing. So we only meet like 6 times, include today that way. All right. And I want to go ahead share my screen a little bit so that way you can, let me go ahead share my screen. So I want to introduce a little bit of the course. Let me share the screen. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
good. All right. So all of this course will be structured. Well, first, you need to be able to log into Canvas. Okay. If you cannot log into Canvas, you will need to contact the TCC tech support. Okay, because I cannot admit you to the Canvas. So that's another system from the TCC. All right. If you have any course question, you will contact me, but log into Canvas, you will need to contact the tech support. All right. So if you go to TCC, there's a tech support number right there. I want to talk about the syllabus because that's the most important one for the course. If you go to the Canvas, look at the syllabus, you will open up the syllabus in here. Okay. And it tell you the last day to drop, that kind of thing. And then the most important one here is the grading scale, right? So overall, you will need to have an 89.5 to get an A. And we do have a lot of people, in a semester getting an A, right? If you have an 89.4, unfortunately, that is a B, okay? So if you have like a 0.5, I do run up to 70. So like a 69.5 will run up to 70 to get a passing C, okay? Grade D is not a passing grade. Usually grade D, you cannot transfer with grade D, okay? That kind of thing. So you need to have a minimum as a C, but your goal should be an A, not just a C, right? So in case if you don't get an A, at least you will get a B. But if your goal is a C, sometimes you may or may not get a C, okay? So always need to aim your goal a little bit higher, that kind of thing. The homework and the review will count 30%, quizzes count 15%, all right? And the test is 53%. I put a video here as 2% because we only meet 25% of the time. 75% of the time, you will need to watch your own video, okay? So for the course. So that's why, and sometimes people just, when you do the homework, it's better to watch the video first before you do the homework, not the other way around. Okay. So if you watch the video first, you have an overall concept and then come back to do the homework, it will make it much easier. All right. So that is this course in here. And then let me show you a little bit how do you get access to the homework assignment and the test. So you will need to go to the course material in here, okay? If you look at the course material, it will link to the MindLab Math, all right? So you will launch the courseware right here. If you are the first time launch the courseware, you will need to kind of register a Pearson account. This is a Pearson product, okay? So it won't take you directly if you're the first time done yet. I already registered for this, so that's why it take me to this page, okay? And then you can go ahead, just look at the homework assignment in here, okay? Go to the homework assignment and it will start doing the assignment in here, right? Let me go ahead, just do the student view because my view is a little bit different. The view the student home. All right, so now you have this one, you have a chapter 1, you have a section 1.1 and 1.2. And then if you look at this one right here, it's wow, it only like this much because the default is in a column. The column view is only giving you the first few days. So you want to click the entire course today, okay? If you hit this one, this is the second tab in here. Now you can see all the entire course assignment in here, okay? So that is, this one will be the entire course. You can see we have a chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all right? And I already shortened the course into the very, very bare minimum that we cannot cut anymore, all right? So this is the really basic a requirement in order for this course to get a credit and transfer, to graduate and transfer, okay? All right, so that is the course home. In here, you will need to go to the course material to launch that. After you register for the course, you can, another way to do this one is you can also go to the assignment, right? So the assignment here, it will also giving you the exit to there. And then this is the video. I put a video in a separate category. And then this is the, a little bit, also if you introduce online yourself, put a little bit, give you extra points. This is bonus point for the introduction, okay? And then you can also do the assignment from here. All right. So any questions? Anyone has any questions?
No, no questions.
All right. Okay. So another way here is if you have any question, I would prefer you to come to the Canvas using the inbox in here. Okay. You can ask the question inside the inbox because this way I can, you don't have to write me say, hey, this is a statistic or, because I have other course as well. So if you use the inbox, it will tell me you are in a business math directly. So that way. So I don't have to really ask you what course you have. All right. So using the inbox is more convenient. And of course, you can also send me the email in here, not in my TCC right now. I don't think this one work anymore. Okay, let me just go ahead and change this one. You just .tccd.edu. Okay. All right, so that is my email address in here. But like I said, I would prefer you to go to the course and using the inbox. Okay, using the inbox, it will send me the inbox email directly in the course. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to know you a little bit before we start the chapter 1. Okay. How about go ahead and if you want to show your face a little bit, I know we are online, right? And then unmute yourself And then just tell us a few things of yourself, like your name and what's your major and how many classes you taking and what kind of work do you do? Something like that. Since we are the weekend courses, so I'm kind of assuming a lot of you work. All right, so who want to go first? If you don't have a camera, that's okay as well. But if you want to unmute yourself and then show the camera a little bit, which is on the very top here is a camera, right? And then there's the mic here. You can unmute yourself and talk.
Okay, hey, my name is Ava Chris. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, hey. Well, I'm not on my tablet. I'm on my phone. My name is Ava Chris, and I retired, and I don't work, and I've just decided to to go ahead and finish my course up in human resource. And the things that I like to do, I like to travel a lot.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad like you come back to school. And let me tell you one of the similar situation. I actually have one lady. She really want me to know her age at that point. I don't know why, but she kind of using the cane walk to my office. And then she said, Miss Evan, I want you to know how I am. I said, I don't want to guess people's age. And she pulled out a driver license, really insisted me to know her age. So she was 75 at that point, that way. And she said like she started a class like course 50 years ago, and she really want to get a degree. So she only just have a couple courses to finish. One course and then another course is math. So she was taking that one, and she did finish and she graduated. And not only just she got an associate degree, she says she also want to transfer to UTA to get a bachelor degree. So that's how encouraging people are. So I'm glad like you are doing the similar thing that way. All right, next. Anyone want to?
Hi, I'll go ahead and go next. My name is Samuel Westmoreland, and I'm just here to get my basics done. I have a government class, English class, American history class, and then this math class. And I'm hoping to transfer to a flight school because I'm a student pilot.
All right, wonderful. Anyone want to go next?
I'll go next. Hi, my name is Ashley Carcamo. I am in school to get a business degree, and eventually transfer over to UTA. I'm taking 4 classes. I have 2 kids. I work at a pediatric dental office. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Okay. Great. All right. Next.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Gabriela Espinoza. I'm taking 4 classes this semester and then 2 more classes next semester, and I'll be transferring to Texas Wesleyan to finish my bachelor's in paralegal studies. I currently work as a paralegal and plan to go to law school, so I'm taking as many classes as I can at TCC before I can transfer over and finish my bachelor's.
All right. Great choice that way. All right. Next. Anyone else want to jump in and introduce a little bit? You can show your camera as well if you want to, if you're capable. If you are on the phone, you cannot show that. Okay, anyone else want to introduce yourself?
I'll go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Maya. I take 6 classes. I'm getting my Associates of Arts, and I work full-time at Amazon.
All right. Okay, anyone else? We have some other people that all right, so if not, we're gonna go ahead and start. You know, sometimes people are a little bit shy, right? But we kind of prefer you to introduce. Okay, there's another chance you can introduce yourself is the online one. Okay, if you go to the discussion board in here, all right, that's another way. Introduction, okay, the introduction in here, so that way you can also jump in and introduce yourself in here that way. All right. Okay, so according to this syllabus, we have a test one. Sometimes the people say why we have only 2 sections and we already have a little bit taste, okay? Because actually this is better for you, you know, even the taste we still count the same as other taste. So actually the first taste will be the sweet taste, in my opinion, okay? We have how many tastes we have? Final exam will be only chapter 4 and 5, okay? So the final exam is only count chapter 4 and 5. Today is the last day of August already, and our course is finished by October 12th. So we kind of have only 1.5 months to complete the course, okay? And that's why I was asking how many classes you're taking, because this one consider is a salary course. All right, a salary class for this one. So you do need to manage your time pretty well. All right. So that's one test. And then I think that we have totally 4 tests. Okay. The last test is the last 2 chapter, and then the test 3 would be the test 3 will be the chapter 3, okay? And then test 2 will be the chapter 2. All right, chapter 2 probably is the heaviest one. So a lot of time, chapter 2 cover quite variety of the topics in chapter 2. All right, so I actually let you have a chapter 1 test, only 2 sections, counted still the same way as other tests. All right, so you really want to do well on the first one, right? So they give you a great advantage, you know, for the course grade that way, okay? So the first one, which we're gonna review today, one is about a little bit factoring, because you're gonna use it heavily in the chapter 2. So we're gonna need to know a little bit factoring before we get to chapter 2, quadratic equation. That will help you to ease the tension on the chapter 2 a little bit, okay? So that's why we do the chapter review in order to prepare for that. And then basically the chapter 1 is just pretty much about the linear equation and the inequality. And then the graphing as well, okay? So even it's a short section, but this is a really quick review, very important review for the course. All right, so I want to go ahead showing you a little bit of PowerPoint. This PowerPoint also posted on the module. So if you go to the module in here, all right, go to the course and then go to the module, okay? So the module here have a little bit of factoring review. You know, are you ready for college math in here, okay? So, you know, this is kind of a little bit, this usually, you know, when we have an in class, right, I usually tell people, say, go ahead, trying to do a little bit of this factoring, trying to see if you remember anything of this. If you don't, that's okay, but we need to get to the course. And I think I also have a couple video for this reviewing detail, okay? Because as you can tell, we are in a college math, not in a developmental math. Even I taught the developmental math before as well, okay? So a little bit of factoring review, and then we have a little bit of video in here. Okay, this video is, I think this is a little bit review from the past. Okay, pretty much the review from the past, which I kind of organize and put it in here. All right, so those are for your own reference that way. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, start the first section. This is a linear equation and equality. All right, so first, what is a linear? Linear basically is only degree of one, right? There's no square, no cubic, that is called linear, okay? The first degree or 1 degree is a linear, all right? And then this is in one variable, like this one right here. The standard form for this one will be ax plus b equal to 0. And how do I solve for x in here? Okay. If I want to solve for x, I will have a x equal to, all right, I will need to, so what does solve for x mean? Solve for x. That means I will need to isolate x by itself, right? And in order to isolate x by itself, what do? I will need to subtract b on both sides actually. Right, I'm trying to do a little bit backup recording just in case the other one didn't record well. Hold on. Okay, so anyhow, for some reason I think it's didn't. All right, so how do I subtract the x on both sides? I will, how do I solve for x by itself? I will subtract b on both sides, right? So we're gonna minus b on both sides. And then this b and negative b will be canceled out. So your left side will be only ax left. And the right side, 0 minus b will be negative b, right? And then we're gonna divide both sides by a. Look at that, divide both sides by a. So a and a cancel out. So I will have x equal to negative b over a. All right. So that is solve for x. We have a x is negative b over a. Negative b over a. All right. So that way I already solve for x in here. Okay. So the second one here is I will need to have this equation in here, right? So this one is also the linear equation because all the power is only 1. Solve for this one will be a little bit more challenging than the first one, right? So because this one has a fraction, so what do you do in here? Well, if you do not like a fraction, I usually recommend you to get rid of fraction, right? So how do I solve for this one? I can multiply both sides by 3 first, right? If I multiply, look at this one. If I multiply both sides by 3, I will be able to get rid of this fraction, okay? But when you multiply by 3, every item, all right, every item on each equation on each side need to multiply by 3, okay? So now if you look at the right side, 3 times x over 3 times 3 minus 5 will also need to times 3, right? And then this is 3 and 3 cancel out, so you're gonna have an x, okay? And then this is 5 times 3, you have a 15. All right, so that's my right-hand side. My left-hand side, I will need to multiply that in. So this 3 times 3 will be 9, right? 3 times 2 will be 6. And then this 6 need to times the entire parenthesis. Okay, get rid of parenthesis. So this will be minus 6x. Negative 6 times 3 will be negative 18. All right. Okay, so I can add 9 and 8, negative 18 together. So let me go ahead write down in here. So this will be 6x, right? And 9 minus 18, you got a negative 9 in here, equal to x minus 15 on the right-hand side. In this case, you can keep the x on the left side, keep the x on the right side. It really doesn't matter. Usually, we like to keep the x on the left side. If I want to keep x on the left side, we need to get rid of this one on the right-hand side, right? So I will minus x on both sides, okay? And then this cancel out. Negative 6x minus x will be negative 7x, all right? And then we need to isolate x by itself. So I have a 9 extra in here. So this is minus 9. I will need to plus 9 on both sides in order to cancel this one out. Okay, so I will have a negative 7x, negative 15 minus 9. This will be negative 6, right? And then you divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which is negative 7. So this cancel out. So you're going to have x equal to negative 6 over 7, right? Well, let me write down in here. Okay. So this one x will be equal to negative 6. Oh, I'm sorry. No, there's a negative in here. Look at that. There's a negative 6 in here, negative 7. So negative will become what? Positive. So x will be just 6 over 7. All right, so that is the solving for x in this case. Okay, so even if it's a linear, sometimes you do need have some calculation. Any question for this one? All right, so equality properties, okay. This one is, I just solved that earlier. If we add the same quantity or subtract the same quantity on both sides, the equation will be still equal, okay? The same quantity is added or subtract from each side of the given equation. This is still equivalent, that kind of thing, all right? We can even multiply or divide by a non-zero number, and that's still the same. So, you know, I usually say that the equal sign, if you have an x equal to 2, right? And then if this is kind of like a equal sign, like a balance, right? So I have a balance right here, okay? And if I add something on this side, I must add the same thing on the other side. Otherwise, this won't become balanced. This, if I only add this one on the right side and I don't add this one in here, this won't be balanced anymore, right? This might become like this way, okay? Become this way, that kind of thing. All right, so the equal sign is kind of like the balance. In order to keep it the balance, we need to, you know, if I take these two out, I also need to take these two out, right? So you have to do the same thing on both sides in order to maintain the balance that way, okay? All right, so how do I solve for this one in here? Well, this one, if you have a 2 and 3, well, if you multiply 2, you won't be able to cancel 3 out. So we usually call the LCM or sometimes call LCD, right? LCM is the least common multiple, or LCD is the least common denominator. So since 2 and 3 do not have any common factor, so I will multiply 2 and 3 together to get a 6, okay? So my LCD here will be 6. That means I will multiply both sides by 6 in order to cancel both denominator, all right? So if I multiply everyone by 6, include the right side, Okay, multiply both sides by 6. And then you can look at the fourth one right here. I'll have 6 times x plus 2 over 2. And then this is 6 will times x over 3, right? And then 5 times 6 will be 30 that way. Okay, so now you have a 6 divided by 2, you will get 3. Remember, 3 you need to multiply the entire numerator. So 3 you need to times x plus 2, right? And then 6 and 3 cancel out, you have a 2. So these 2 need to times x, 2x. All right, so this one is much easier than the previous one. So I have a 3 times x is 3x plus 3 times 2 will be 6, right? And then equal. Ooh. Okay, let's see what happened in my slides. Oh, I think my pen, for an accident, my pen just erased this whole thing or something. All right, right here. Okay, so this one right here, 3 times, okay, someone trying to get in. All right, so 3 times x, you got 3x, right? 3 times 2, you got 6, and then you have minus 2x in here and equal. Okay, so this is equal to the right side. Hold on. See what happened in here. Okay, so we have a 6x. Let me see what happened here. Let me try. Okay, let me go ahead insert another page. Okay, so for some reason, this page won't let me write it up. Okay, so let's start over from here, right? We talked that earlier, LCD should be 6, so I will need to multiply everyone by 6 in this case, okay? When I multiply by 6, hold on. Let me go ahead and close this one and reopen there, okay? Because for some reason, this one, all right, so we have this one. Let's see why this one. Get this one to here. Okay, so we multiply, oh, this one, it won't stay. Let's see, touch. All right, I'm going to open another one. So for some reason, there's a little bit technical issue for this one. Okay, let me go ahead, open another one to do it. Okay, so I have this one right here, right? I have a 6, okay, times x plus 2 over 2, and then minus x over 3, and then we have a 6 times 5, right? 6, we have a 6 times this one, 6 times the second one, and then this right hand side will be 30. 6 divided by 2 will be 3. So 3 need to times x plus 2. 6 divided by 3, you got 2. So we have a 2x equal to 30. All right. And then you get rid of parentheses. So we have a 3x plus 6. 3 need to times 2, right? And then minus 2x equal to 30. And then these two combine like a term. So we have a x plus 6 equal to 30. And then we need to minus 6 on both sides so we can get x by itself.
Yeah.
So this x will be 24. Yes.
We can't see the display. Not displaying.
You didn't have a screen?
No.
Oh, okay, let me, okay, sorry. Let me go ahead and share the screen. Right. Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can
Okay.
see it. Oh,
All
I
right.
can see.
All right. Okay. Everyone, if you don't hear or don't see anything, please let me know. All right. Oh, hold on. Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try to move this one a little bit to the side. Okay, so if I want to check to see if this answer is correct or not, I can plug the x equal to 24 back to the original equation, and then check if left side equal to the right hand side, right? Usually this checking is not required, but if you just curious to see if you got a correct answer or not, you can check this one right here. Look at that. So x plus 2x will be 24, right? So I will have a 24 plus 2 over 2, and then minus x over 3. X is 24, so 24 over 3. So let's go ahead and calculate the left-hand side, trying to see if we equal to the right-hand side, which is 5, right? And then you have a 24 plus 2 will be 26 divided by 2. And then you have a 24 divided by 3, that is 8, right? And then 26 divided by 2 is 13 minus 5. So 13 minus 8. So 13 minus 8, it is equal to the right-hand side. So now you have a left-hand side actually equal to the right-hand side. Okay, right-hand side, right-hand side. Left-hand side equal to the right-hand side. All right, so left is equal to 5, and the right is also equal to 5 in here. Okay, so that's how you solve this kind of equation. Okay. All right, and the next one right here is you want to solve for this kind of equation. You want to solve for n. All right, so sometimes people will say, well, how do I solve for my n in here? I have an m equal to nt plus nr, right? And you can see we have a common factor here. I can take the n outside. Okay, if I take the n out, and what's left? This will be t plus r there. And then equal to the right-hand side will be m. So solve for n, that means I want to write down n equal to something, right? And since I have a 2n right here, so I need to factor it out. And then we can divide both sides, divide both sides by the coefficient of this one, the coefficient of the n, which is t plus r. So you divide both sides by t plus r. And then these two will be canceled out. So this one will let my n there. All right, so that is my n solution right here. Look at it. This is my final n solution. Okay. So this one, it doesn't have a number, but it just want to kind of isolate n by itself. And that's how you do that, do the factorial. When you have a common factor, you take it out. Okay. And then divide by both sides by the coefficient. Okay. Any question about this one? All right, now we're gonna look at the inequality. Okay, so inequality, that means you have a greater than, less than, you know, that kind of thing. Usually I like to be able to drop a little bit number line on the inequality. If I have A and B right here, even I don't have a number, but if I have A is on the left-hand side of the B, actually we can know like A is less than B. Okay, and then if I have a C right here, I know A is greater than C. My B is also greater than C. You know why? Because on the number line, any number on the right-hand side is always greater than the number on the left-hand side. Okay, so B is on the right-hand side of the C, so B is greater than C. All right, B is also greater than A, right? You can write down these two are equivalent. Okay, you can write down B is greater than A, all right? Or A is less than B, right? So these two are the same thing in here. But if you write down A first, it will be A is less than B. If you write down B first, it will be B is greater than A. I usually say this greater than is like an alligator mouth, right? The big mouth always facing the big number, okay? So if you write down A is less than B, big mouth is facing B. If you write down B is greater than A, look at it, the big mouse is still facing B. All right. And the good thing is if you can add and subtract, you can add and subtract or multiply the same number on both sides, and that's still true. So if you have a B greater than C, I multiply both sides by 3. Okay. 3B will be still greater than 3C. All right. And then if for this one, if I multiply both sides by 10, 10A will be still greater than 10C. All right. And I can also add the same number on both sides. They are still equal. If I add a 10 on both sides, they are still not equal. They are still remain the same inequality. Okay. So you can add and subtract, you can multiply and divide, and the inequalities thing is still remain the same. Unless if you multiply or divide by a negative number in here, okay? If you divide or multiply a negative number, you must reverse the inequality. All right. Okay, so remember this notation in here is very important. Let me just give you an example. If you have a 3 minus x greater than 2, right? And in order to solve this x, I will need to minus 3 on both sides. So since this one is only minus 3, so it's not multiply or divide. So my inequality is still the same. This is greater than, this is still greater than. Okay, we still have a greater than in here. But this time, since I want to solve for x, I will need to divide a negative number. Look at it. This time, this number will be a negative. The number I divide by is a negative number. So I must change this inequality direction, become less than. All right. And negative become positive. So x will be less than negative become positive. X will be less than 1. All right, so that is how you solve for this type of inequality. Okay, in the college math or business math, we always like to use the interval notation. Okay, so what is the interval notation? That means you either use parenthesis or you use bracket or the combination of the parenthesis and bracket. And then you write down a small number on the left-hand side, large number on the right-hand side. You always write a small number on the left, large number on the right. So that is the interval notation, okay? Look at that. If you have a x is greater than or equal to a, less than or equal to b. Now you have an interval notation. Will be using the bracket because I usually say this equal sign, this equal sign, this bracket like an equal sign, right? This one, and then you connect them together. So anytime if you have an equal sign, you use the bracket, okay? And so that's between a and b. And this one is x is greater than or equal to a, but less than b. Look at it, b doesn't have an equal sign here, so you use the parenthesis, okay? So you use the parenthesis for the graphing, you use the parenthesis for the interval notation, all right? And this one, a doesn't have an equal sign, so a use the parenthesis. B has an equal sign, so you use a bracket, all right? And then the graph is similar going to the notation, okay? And then this one don't have any equal sign, so you use both parentheses, all right? If you have a is less, x is less than or equal to a number a, so that means include a number a. So this one, you're gonna go all the way to the negative infinity. Negative infinity is the smallest number, so you always have a negative infinity on the left-hand side, okay? This one similar, but not have an equal sign. But if you have a x is greater than or equal to b, that means it's going all the way to the right. So b is the smaller, the minimum number, and then infinity will be the biggest one. Okay, so I will recommend you to get really familiar. This is pretty much include all kinds of situation about the interval notation. And you want to get familiar with this page, okay? Any question about this one? All right, so how do you write down this one as a double inequality and then graphing? Write down -5 and 2, okay? All right, so how do I graph my A in here? -5 will be right here, right? Somewhere 0 will be in here, and then this will be the 2. So -5, you have a equal sign, so using the bracket. 2 doesn't have an equal sign, so use the parenthesis. Okay, so from here to here, that is my inequality. Okay, if I want to write down this one right here, I can write down x is greater than -5, and then using n, and x is less than 2. All right, so this will be in here. Or you can just have a x is greater than or equal to. This one has an equal sign. X is greater than or equal to 5 and less than 2. So this one you cannot separate by using n. This one I can just using this symbol in here without using n, right? So that is what you mean in here. All right, how do you write down this one in an interval notation and then graph them? Let's go ahead to the graphing. So -2 in here, 0 will be in here. This include an equal sign, so I will need to have a bracket. Greater than is always going to the right side. Okay, so that is this one. So my minimum value here, my smaller number will be -2. My big number will be infinity. Infinity always use the parenthesis because you cannot ever equal to infinity. Okay, you can approach to the infinity, but you cannot equal to the infinity. All right, any question about this one? Okay, that is another solve the linear inequality. Okay, And I want you to go ahead, solve this one on your own or put it in a group, trying to see if you can come out the answer in here. Okay, we have one example earlier. So I'm going to break you into a group and then let you solve this one. Okay, and then we're gonna compare the answer in a group later on. All right, so let me give you, if you can copy this equation in first for now. Okay, and then I'm going to giving you a group. Let's put it into 3 group or 4 group. Okay, I'm gonna create a room in here. Okay, and then you will need to go to your room and then coming back later on. All right, so we have a 4 group in here. All right.
Could you show the equation one more time?
Okay, all right. Let me go ahead do the equation in here. Inequality, okay, and then write down in an interval notation. All right, so you have a 4 group right here, giving you 3 minutes, trying to see each group gonna come up with the answer. All right, we have a group of 1, room 1 here. You have a room 1. These people in here, room 2, okay, and then room 3, room 4. Okay, we're gonna open to for each one. Okay, so every room is open. You want to go ahead and go to your room. Let me show my equation in here. Okay, trying to see you can work with your people. You can talk to each other. Okay, we're gonna close the room, coming back. Okay, so let's see what is the room one, group one, what's your answer?
We got it. So too late. I'm slow.
Okay, room one, do you got an answer? What's your answer?
I got x greater than or equal to 14 over 13. I don't know.
Yeah, that was what I was
14,
able to get.
14 over,
13.
okay, what's the room two? What's room two answer? This is just an exercise. Even you don't get a right answer, it's okay. All right. How about room two? Anyone from room two? You need to pick a speaker next time.
Oh,
Room two.
I'm a part of a
Yeah.
different room. Sorry.
So room two, we have at least 4 people here. Room three. Any answer from room three?
Yeah, that was our room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's room 3.
So I believe, just correct me if I'm wrong, we got x is greater than or equal to 14 over 13.
Okay, so the same answer as room one. Okay. All right, how about room four? Anyone from room four got an answer? Room four, this is your room four. Anyone? Okay, so guess what? I think from next week, we're gonna have an actual credit for the rule. Okay, if you got a correct answer. So because sometimes people always ask, do we have an actual credit? And I usually tell people, say actual credit you need to earn during the semester, not by the end of the semester, right? Usually by the end of the semester, sometimes people, you have a 89.3, 89.1, something like that. Oh, is there anything I can do to get a 1 point to get an A? All right. And remember, if you only have one test for 1 point, it won't give you to an A because one test is not counted 100% of your course grade, right? So you might need to get a 2 or 3 point in one test to get it 1 point, okay? Actually, if you look at the syllabus, one test is less than 20% of the course grade. So you will need to have the 5 points if it's 20% to get it 1 point overall, okay? So from next class, if you prepare for the class and then we are giving you a little bit something extra in the on the class, okay? All right, so you can see we're gonna multiply both sides by 2, right? Multiply each side by 2 in here. So 2 and 2 will cancel out. So you're gonna have an x, and then plus this 4 times 3, you got 12x minus 4 times 1. This is minus 4, greater than or equal to 10, right? And then these two are the like terms, so you add them together, so you got 13x. You're gonna add a 4 on both sides, so it's greater than or equal to 14. So yeah, you both got a correct answer, okay? So you divide by both sides by 13, all right? So you have an x is greater than or equal to 13 over 14 over 13. How do you write down this one in the interval notation? Well, greater than should be going to the right-hand side, okay? Going to the right-hand side. Since you have an equal sign, so you use a bracket, okay? You use a bracket with the equal sign. And then the right side is gonna be infinity. All right, so that is the graphing, that's the interval notation, okay? So that is how do you solve this kind of inequality. All right. Remember, if you divide by both sides a negative number, you must switch the inequality direction. Okay. Look at this one right here. You have a -9, -2 in here, right? So you have a -2 is greater than or equal to -9. If I want to divide by both sides by -1, since this -1 is a negative number, so I must switch this inequality to here. So -2 divided by -1 will be 2. -9 divided by 1 will be +9. So you can see, yeah, if I have a -2 is on the right side of the -9. So -2, it is greater than -9, right? But if I have a positive number, 2 and 9 right here, okay? Let's drop another one. All right, so this is 2, this is 9. All right, so -2 is greater than -9, but 9 is greater than -2. So that 9 is greater than 2 in here. So you can see these both are true, right? 9 is greater than 2 is true. -2 is greater than -9 is also true. All right. If you do not switch, let's see what happens if you do not switch. If you do not switch, -2 divided by -1 will be 2, and then 2 greater than 9. It's 2 greater than 9. Of course, this is false. Okay, so you must switch. You must switch. This will be true. All right. So when you divide by or multiply a negative number, you must switch the inequality direction. Okay, that is very important. Okay, another one, solving the inequality. So how do I solve this one? Basically, you just get rid of parentheses first, right? So you have 3x minus 3 less than 5x, and then plus 10 minus 5, okay? And then you can correct like a term first before you move on, okay? So this will be 5x plus 10 minus 5, that is 5, right? And it really depends on where you want to put your x value. This one, if I keep x on the right side, I will have a positive x. If you keep the x on the left side, you're gonna minus 5x in here, and then you're gonna have to divide it by a negative coefficient, and then you have to switch the inequality direction. So in my opinion, I would rather keep the x on the right side. So I'm gonna minus 3x instead. Okay, minus 3x. And then this cancel out. So I still have a -3. These two cancel out, right? I have a -3 less than 5x minus 3x. I got 2x plus 5. Since I want to isolate x, so I'm going to get rid of this term. Okay, and then this cancel out. So I have a 2x greater than -8. And then this time I divided by 2. Since 2 I divided by is a positive number, so I don't have to switch. I don't have to switch. So I have x will be greater than -8 divided by 2. I got -4. And then if you want to write down x on the right side, this x will be greater than -4, right? Because this big alligator mouth is facing x, trying to grab x. So if I switch x on the left-hand side, x will be greater than -4. And then you can look at this one, greater than -4 will be going to the right. So my interval will be -4 to infinity. Okay, so that is how you solve this inequality in here. Any questions? All right, this one is called compound inequality. What does compound mean? That means you have a two inequality connect together. All right, so the way I solve this one actually is very similar. I don't have to break this one. I can just solve them all together, right? So if I add a 4, I want to cancel out this 4 in here. I want to isolate the x. So I want to cancel out the 4, so I will plus 4 on all of them. So this will be only 3x there. Okay, And -7 plus 4, that's -3. 8 plus 4 is 12. And then we divide everyone by 3, every size by 3. Since 3 I divide is a positive, this 3 is a positive number, so I do not have to switch anything. Okay, I keep as it is. So 12 divided by 3 is 4, right? And then -3 over 3, that is -1. Okay, if I graph this one right here, this will be -1 on the left, 4 on the right. And then we have a bracket on the -1, we have a 4 parentheses. Okay, so this is -1 to 4 parentheses. Okay, so that is your interval notation for this case. Any questions? All right, another one is solving for the word question. Sometimes people do not like a word question, but one thing is when you learn math, you need to solve the real world question, right? So first, you have to read the question. How many times you need to read the question? At least twice. Okay, you need to read it at least 2 times. Because if you only read it 1 time, you might miss some of the very key information in math. Okay, so every word in a question, you have to be very careful. So I usually say double read it before you set up the equation. Okay, so read it at least twice. Sometimes you might need more than twice in here. Identify the quantities in the problem. Okay, setting the unknown as x, y, or t for time, d for distance, and so on. Okay, setting up in a variable, and then you need to set up the equation. Okay, you need to set up the equation, and then you need to solve the equation, and then you usually have to check the final question answer that write down expression. I usually like to using the procedure called DESS, okay? Or you can have a RDESS, that kind of thing. So what is the R in here? You need to do it, right? And then D here, you need to what? Define the unknown as X, Y, or Z, okay? And then E here is you need to set up the equation, okay, or inequality. Usually it's most of the time on the application will be the equation, okay? And then this X here, you need to solve the equation, right? And then you need to have a statement, okay? Since this is an application, so you need to answer the question using a one sentence statement to answer the question, okay? So you call it DESS. All right, profit loss analysis in here, right? This course is a business course, so business math. So we're gonna encounter the profit, cost, fixed income, variable income quite a bit. Okay, so we usually using R for the revenue. Okay, R here is for the revenue. C here is for the cost. All right, and then you have a fixed cost. So we have a fixed cost. We also have a variable cost. So what is a fixed cost? Well, if you have a company, before you produce any, like I said, if you have a tennis shoes, all right, before you even produce the shoes, you will need to buy the equipment, you need to have a manufacturing space, right? If you rent that, you need to have a rental, and regardless of how many pairs you produce, you always need to have those costs in here. So those are the fixed costs, right? And the variable cost is the more you produce, the more material you will need. So those are the variable costs, okay? Just like you're driving a car. Well, it doesn't matter if you drive it today or not. You need to buy the car. You will need to have a car insurance, right? So those are the fixed costs for a car, basically. The variable cost is your gas, okay? The more you drive, the more gas you're gonna use. So those money will be the variable cost in here. All right, revenue. If you drive for Uber, that kind of thing, that's the, your income, the income you have, that is the revenue, right? And then we're using R in here, okay? And then if you have a revenue exactly equal to the cost, this is called break even, okay? You don't make a profit, but you didn't lose either. So those are the break even. If you have a revenue less than the cost, the company is a loss, right? If you have a revenue that is greater than the cost, so you bring in more than the cost, so you make a profit. Okay, so how do you calculate a profit? Profit usually is using revenue minus the cost. Okay, that is P. P is equal to R minus C. When P is zero, that means the cost equal to the revenue. You have a break even. If R is less than C, that means P will be less than 0. Okay, when you have a profit is negative, that means it's a loss. If you have a positive profit, that means it's a good one. Okay. All right. Remember, I just explained that earlier. We're using the profit formula. So everyone need to know the profit formula, right? Profit is equal to the revenue minus the cost. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead trying to set up this one in here. Break-even analysis. University Club plans they plan to raise money by selling custom design T-shirt, right? Custom printed T-shirt in here. So they found a printer charge $400 for creating the artwork and $3.50 per serve that is print. Okay, if they sell the shirts for the price of $15 each, how many shirts they need to produce and sell to break even? All right, so first we have to know what is break even, as we said earlier. What is break even? A little bit terminology here. Anyone can give it a shout out? What is break even here?
So when the profit is equal to the cost?
No, the revenue equal to the cost. Profit will be 0, break even. Profit is equal to what? Revenue minus the cost. Okay, profit is using revenue minus the cost. And the break even, that means the profit is 0. That means you don't have a profit, right? So profit is 0. You solve this one, revenue will equal to the C. All right. So is profit break even? That means the revenue equal to what? The cost. Okay, so let's see, how do you set up your revenue equation and how do you set up your cost equation? And then we're gonna make it equal. Okay, so we need to remember we said that earlier DESS. We need to define the unknown. So which one is unknown?
Cost.
Read the last sentence again. How many shares must make and sell to break even?
Break even.
So what is the unknown one here?
We don't know how many shirts.
Yes, so you need to count the number of the shirt. If you look at if you say I will need to have a 10 shirt, just giving you an example in here. If I assume the 10 shirt will break even, let's see if it's possible. If I produce 10 shirts, what happens? How many shirts? How much I sell for each shirt?
So it'd be $150.
$150. This is your revenue. Is that enough for the cost here?
No.
Apparently not, right? You printer already charged $400 in here, and then you have to have a $3.50 for the print. So 10 cert is not enough. How about 100 cert? Well, 100 cert, how much revenue you produce?
Sure.
1,500.
Okay, so apparently this one is greater than 400 and something right here. Maybe that's enough, right? And how much is the cost if you have a if you want to make a 100 cert? Let's look at. Can you write down the
To be
cost?
$35.
Okay, so you will need to have a fixed cost, which is 400. This one is called a what? Fixed cost. Is that right? Plus the variable cost, you will need to cost $3.50, and then you need to multiply by 100. This is called variable cost. Variable cost in here. Okay. All right. So we have a 400 plus what? 350, and now we're giving you what? 750. Apparently, your revenue is much greater than what? The cost. Yeah. So if you make 100, make and sell 100 cert, you actually make a profit. How much profit you make? Revenue.
750.
Yeah, revenue minus the cost. You have a revenue is 50. Yeah. All right. And then this will be 750. Right. So this is your revenue. Okay, but we are not trying to make a profit at this point. We're trying to see what's the minimum. Apparently, if you make a 100 cert, it will be good. You will make a profit. But my question here is, we want to find a break-even point. So, what is a break-even point in here? Anyone give me a guess? How many certs? So apparently, I don't have to produce 100 certs to make a break-even. So how many certs do I have? And sometimes people say, let me reduce 10, reduce 20, reduce 30. Maybe I reduce 40. Oh, that's going to be a lot of calculation. Maybe it's not by 10, by 20 or 30. Maybe by 1 or 11 or 12. Is it possible you're going to go to guess everyone and then do every step? The answer would be, if we really
tedious.
Yes. So that's why we need to set up the what? Equation. We need to define the variable, solve the variable, because you guess 100, now you know go to guess 99, guess 89, guess 75. We don't know. You're gonna calculate for the whole hour, that kind of thing, right? So that's why we set up the math equation in here. We're gonna define the unknown. So what is my unknown? My unknown here is number of what? Shirts. Okay, so we're gonna say X pair of X shirt. Okay, X number of shirt. Okay, so how do I find my revenue in here? What is my revenue equal to?
The cost.
The cost. Okay, so that's the equation we eventually going to have. And what is my revenue equation in terms of X cert? What is
ask that again?
What is my revenue equation here?
Revenue equals cost?
The revenue will equal the cost.
Yeah. But we have to have a revenue equation so we can solve for X. We want to use X for the revenue.
Isn't the cost 400 plus 350?
Well, if you plus 350, you already assume this is 100 cert. Now I do not know because 100 cert is too many. So I will change this 100 cert into what?
And like in a variable.
X.
Like X.
Into X.
Variable.
Right? Yeah, so you just, everyone know how to calculate 100 cert, but you need to change that 100 into unknown X. Okay, so this is my fixed cost, which is 400, plus produce each cert, I'm gonna cost $3.50. So that's 350 times the X. All right, so that's my revenue equation, my cost equation in here. Okay, and what is my revenue equation?
It's 15 times X.
That's exactly right. It's 15x. Okay. Everyone know how to calculate 100, so you can get out of 1500 right away. But this time we're gonna change 100 into x. So this one is a 15 times 100, right? So the revenue here will be 15 times x. Okay, so now we're gonna have this equation. So we have a 15x equal to 400 plus 3.5x. I'm gonna get rid of this 0. Okay. This is our equation. So revenue equal to the cost. All right, and then we're gonna just go ahead and solve for this x. Okay, minus 3.5x on both sides. All right, so this will be equal to 415 minus 3.5. This will be 11.5x. Okay, and then we're gonna divide both sides by what? 11.5. Okay, so now you can use a little bit calculator. Go ahead, give you a quick calculation. How much is this one?
34.78.
34 point what?
78.
78. You need to, this is the short, so you don't want a decimal point. You don't want to half a cert, read that in a half. So you need to have a what?
Fraction.
You need to keep it wrong to the integer. Okay, wrong to the integer in here. All right.
Okay.
So you don't want to have a half a cert that way. So you want to like a 35.
Round up.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that's how you set up the equation, right? This is kind of how you set up the equation. If you do not know if you got it right or not, you can pop it in, trying to see if that equal to right. This one won't be exact, but will be approximate. Any question about this one?
No.
All right, so you have a revenue equation, you have a cost equation, okay? And then you need to set up, instead of using 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 100, you will need to replace those numbers by X, okay? I think that when I get a 10 or 100, everyone calculate really quick and also get it right. So you just replace that 100 by X, all right? So yeah, you can assume a little bit number trying to help you understand. And then instead of using the detailed number, you just using the variable X and then solve them. All right. Okay, we're gonna look at some of the graph and the line in here. Okay, how do you graph a linear equation? Some of the line will be vertical, some of them will be the horizontal, that kind of thing. Okay. So the Cartesian system we're using the x and y axis. All right. So this is your x axis, this is your y axis in here. Okay. And this one of the intersection of the x and y is 0, right? This is called the origin. And then the coordinate for the P here is always x and y. I usually like to use x and y. Okay, so x here is a, or using a and b. A and b, a is the distance from the 0 to the point perpendicular to the x. And then the b is the distance to the y axis in here. All right. So if this is called quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's going to counter crosswise. If you have a Q1, that both x and y are positive. Okay, in Q2, x will be negative, y will be positive. Q3, both are negative. Okay, Q4, your X is positive, Y is negative, that kind of thing, all right? So that one, everyone should be familiar and how to graph that. Okay, so if I have a plus AX plus BY equal to C, I will need to be able to make a graph. The one thing is if it's linear, you only need 2 points. 2 points can connect a line already, okay? So look at this one right here. How do I graph this one? Well, in order to graph this one, I will need 2 points. So I have an X and Y right here, right? So this one will be 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Going up is positive. Okay, going down is negative. All right, so I need 2 points. So which 2 points do we want in here? Well, I can assume X is 0. Okay, I can calculate. If I let X equal to 0, let's see how much is Y. So this will be 2 times 0 minus 3Y equal to 6, right? 2 times 0 will be 0. So I get a negative 3Y equal to 6, right? And then I'll just divide by both sides by negative 3. Okay, so this Y will be negative 2. All right, so we right here, when X is 0, Y is negative 2, right here. Okay, and then I can get another one. How about let Y equal to 0? Let's see how much is X. So this will be 2X minus 3 times 0 equal to 6. This will be gone. So I have 2X equal to 6 divided by 2 on both sides. So X will be 3, right? So there's 1, 2, I'm sorry, I graphed the wrong point earlier. Okay, graphed the wrong point earlier in here. All right, so the second point X here is 3, Y is 0. The first point right here, X is 0, Y is negative 2. So where is the X is 0, so negative 2 should be right here. Okay, this is 0 and negative 2. X is 0 is on the Y axis, and then Y is negative 2. Okay, the second one, X is 3, Y is 0. So 1, 2, 3, X is 3, Y is 0. So right here. Okay, so I only just need to connect these 2 points together, and then I can create a line already. It should be a straight line. Okay, mine doesn't look quite straight because I didn't use ruler. All right, so this one is the linear and the graph. And the graph passing the x-axis here, this is called x-intercept. Okay, graph passing the x-axis. Graph passing the y-axis here is called y-intercept. Okay, those are two other very important names in here. And another way here is how do I find my x-intercept? Well, if you want to find the x-intercept, you let y equal to 0 and then find the x, solve for x. Okay, so this is called x-intercept. And similar, if you want to find the y-intercept, you let the other one, which is x equal to 0, solve for y. So that will be giving you the y-intercept. Any questions? And another thing here is some people say, can I use the calculator? Kind of, yes. You can use the calculator to help you to do the graphing. We also allow you to use TI-83 or 84 for this course. But in order to put this one in a calculator, you will need to solve for y. Because that's the only thing calculator can graph. You cannot have x equal to, it must be y equal to in order to graph this one. So in my opinion, graphing by hand for this one actually is easier because I will need to go to solve for y in order to graph in a calculator, right? So let's go ahead. How do I solve for y? Well, first I need to isolate this y term. So I need to minus 2x on both sides. Okay, and then this will cancel out. So I have a negative 3y will equal to 6 minus 2x. And then I will need to divide both sides by 3. Okay, by 3, not negative 3. Just by 3. All right. And that way I will have a y. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it's negative 3, right? This negative 3y in here. So should be divided by negative 3. Okay. So now I have a y equal to 6 minus 2x divided by negative 3. If you want to give this a quick calculation, this will be negative 2, and then negative 2x over 3 will be 2 over 3x. So this is my y. This is my y expression for the x. Okay, and then we can put it in a calculator if you want. But as you can tell, solving this y it's quite a bit of the step already, right? And giving if you got it right. Okay, so I can put this one in a calculator. Let me go ahead, just showing you a little bit calculator. Okay, so when you graph this one, you go to y equal to. Let me clear this. All right, so you go to y equal to in here, and then type in your equation, type it in your y equation, right? So y is negative 2 minus 2 over 3x. So negative, the first one negative, you need to use the one is parentheses. Negative 2 plus 2 over 3. Okay, and then x in here. All right, so let's go ahead and give you a graph. So that is your graph. So now you can see this one right here, the x-intercept, which is 3 and 0 right here. The graph passing the x-axis, and then the graph also passing the y-axis in here. The good news is you can go to look at the table for this graphing. Table is under the blue color, so you need to hit second. So second graph is your table, right? And then you can say, well, yeah, when x is 0, y it is equal to negative 2. If you want to go on a little bit in here, okay, let's see. And when y is right here, actually it's right here, right? This point right here. When y is 0, x is 3. Okay, when y is 0. So if you look at the graph, when y is 0, so x is 3. And then this, when x is 0, y is negative 2. All right. But in order to put it into the calculator, look at it. This calculator always y equal to. Okay, if I want to have a y equal to 2x, and then I graphing, okay, that's the right one is y equal to 2x. So you must solve for y. Okay, you cannot graph x equal to using y equal to. Okay, so that is the one you can put it in a calculator. All right, we're going to look at some. This is the x and y intercept I just mentioned earlier. In order to find the x-intercept, you want to set y to be 0, okay? In order to find the y-intercept, you must set x to the 0, and then you solve for y. That will giving you the y-intercept. All right, so this one is pretty similar. Let's see if we can find the x and y-intercept a little bit. I'm going to giving you a breakdown again to find the x and y-intercept. All right, let's see. Hopefully people will do a little bit better this time because x and y-intercept actually is relatively easy to find. All right, this time this is automatically assigned, so you might go to the different room, okay? Or it's still right there. I'm giving you the same room, okay? So I'm going to open, giving you 2 minutes. Should be enough.
Can you put the question back up there?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you can talk to each other. All right, so what is the x and y intercept? and then make a graph if you could. Or if you want to print a calculator, what is y equal to? Okay, go ahead, also solve y equal to. Okay, let's go, come back here. Let's see. Uh, everyone coming back? Okay, let's start with room number 4. Room number 4, what's you? That's room number 4, okay? So if you are room number 4, you got at least 3 people. Room number 4, what's your x-intercept? Room number 4.
I got 12. X-intercept.
Yeah, x-intercept. What is the x-intercept? How about room 3? Room 3, what's your number?
The x-intercept, -3
I'm pretty
and
sure
4.
that was the other way
Huh?
around. Y
Negative.
was -3.
Is that how you write down this one?
X and Y, right?
No, x-intercept. You need to have a pair of x and y. So the x-intercept y must be 0. X-intercept y
4
must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
and
it's
0.
Okay.
440.
So yeah, 4,
Okay.
40.
Okay. And what is the y-intercept?
0, -3.
0,
Okay.
-3.
All right. Let's look at better. This -3 and 4, that is what? That is wrong. Okay. You need to pair with the x-intercept here. You pair with y equal to 0. All right. So let's see. Because you let y, x-intercept y will be 0, right? So y 0 is 3 times 4 times 0, 3x minus 4 times 0. And then this 0 is gone. Okay, so you have a 3x equal to 12. And then you divide by both sides by 3. So you have x equal to 4. Yeah. But this 4 need to pair with this 0 right here. So you got a 4 and -3 right, but you need to write down the order pair correctly. Okay. And then the same thing, y-intercept, you let x be 0, x be 0. So you can say x be 0, you can say this x term is gone. Okay, so we just -4 equal to 12. And then you divide by both sides by -4. So y will be -3. But this -3 you need to pair with x, which is 0. All right. So now you have a 4 and 0, x is 4, y is 0 right here. And then x is 0, y is -3 is right here, right? So, and then you just connect these 2 points together, make a line, make a straight line. Okay, that's your graph. If you want to put in a calculator, as I mentioned earlier, it's a little bit challenging because you have to solve for this y, right? So you need to minus 3x on both sides, and then -4y will be 12 minus 3x, right? And then divide by both sides by -4. In my opinion, this is even more calculation than finding the x and y intercept. All right, and then 4 divided by 12 divided by -4 will be 3, right? Minus 3 over 4x, that kind of thing. So I can still put this one in a calculator to double check, okay? And then these two formula, two graphs should be the same. Let's see, what do I get? I already forget. All right, 3 minus 3 over 4x, 3 minus 3 over 4 x.
Wouldn't it be -3?
Oh, -3. Oh, okay.
-3.
All right.
I could be wrong.
Oh,
If it
yeah.
was
Yeah,
12.
it's -3. That's
-3.
right. Because look at that. This one is so hard to, that's why it's so easy to make mistake in here. So that's why I say solving the x and y intercept is even easier than solving for the y by itself, right? So it's -3, and this should be a plus, right? Negative divided by negative should be positive, because it divided by both sides by -4. So -12 divided by -4 is -3. -3x over -4 is positive. So I got this graph totally wrong in here. All right, so that is -3 plus, let's see, plus, right? -3 plus 3 over 4x. All right, let's see if the graph will come out the same as we graph manually. Yes, now that is the same. Okay, this is the same graph. Okay, so sometimes I said earlier, actually do that by hand, in this case, I would rather do this one by hand than putting in a calculator in this case, because in my opinion, solving the X and Y intercept in this case is easier than trying to solve this Y in here and then put it in a calculator, right? So, I mean, calculator help, but not every time will be easier. All right, so that is your X-intercept, that's your Y-intercept, okay? You can check any other point, but this is not necessary, right? If you pick this point, only if you graph very precisely and then put it in a, so you can have this one. So why this one is also in the 9? Because X is 8, Y is 3. You can put a 3 times 8, right? It's 8 and 3 is on the graph. So if you plug X equal to 3 times 8 is minus 4 times 3, that is 12. So 24 minus 12, it is 12. So left equal to right. So that's why that is also in the graph, okay? All right, let's put it in a calculator, okay? You can have a D4. You can have a D4 window. If you go to window right here, this is your D4, right? And you can change this one into -20 if you want. And then this maximum is 20. You can adjust this window as you need, okay? So you can adjust that one, that kind of thing. Sometimes you might need a little bit more than the D4 window, okay? And then you can graph that in the calculator, okay? You can change the X miniband, X maximum. You can change the Y miniband and maximum in here. I want to introduce a little bit of vertical line because we almost run out of time, okay? Vertical line when X equal to -4, okay? So this graph X equal to -4, that means it doesn't have a Y value in here, right? So if this one doesn't have a Y value, what does that mean? That means the X stay in -4 regardless the Y value. Okay, so that means Y can be 0, can be 1, can be 2, can be 3, can be -10 or -20. X is always -4. So this one actually is called a vertical line. A vertical. Okay, and then if I have a Y equal to 6, it's a horizontal line. Okay, because this doesn't have an X value. Y equal to 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And then regardless the X value, Y is always 6. So Y equal to 6 is a horizontal line. All right, this one is same thing. If I have a Y equal to 0, where's Y equal to 0? Well, actually, Y equal to 0 is the x-axis, right? This one right here, this whole thing here is Y equal to 0. And then if I have an X equal to 0, what happens? Well, X equal to 0 is the Y-axis, is the vertical line, okay? And then if I have an X equal to 3, so 1, 2, 3. So this is another vertical line, X equal to 3, okay? X equal to 3 is a vertical line in here. Y equal to number. So when X equal to a number, it doesn't matter positive or negative. This is a vertical one. All right, vertical one. If you have a Y equal to a number, this is a horizontal one. All right, this is a horizontal line. Okay. All right, that's all the time we have for today. We cover most of the, not every question, but most of the sub concept for this chapter 1, which is only 2 sections. Okay, any questions before we go? Anyone has any questions? You need to start doing the practicing. Okay, practice is very, very important. All right, and we will meet next Saturday again. And starting next Saturday, if you participate in the group room, we're gonna start issuing the actual credit, starting next week. Okay. Yes, Samira, do you have questions?
Yes. So we're going to meet every week, same time, right?
Yes.
We'll always have a meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
For 6 times. We don't meet in October 12th because that one we reserve for the final exam. So we will meet 5 more times after this one.
Okay. And attendance is counted by completing assignments?
Right, so there's two part of the attendance. If you attend this one, the virtual class, that's counted as attendance. If you do not attend a virtual class, you will need to finish, you will need to watch the recording video, and of course, everyone need to finish the assignment in order to count the attend, okay? And
Okay, thank you.
if starting next week, as I mentioned earlier, starting next week, we're gonna have a little bit of actual points for attending the virtual and participate in the discussion. Okay, you cannot just say I show up and I don't do anything. That one doesn't really count. So you will need to participate in this opening room and then get the answer. It is 70% correct, right? So you cannot get anything wrong. If you get at least 70% correct, your room will be, because I cannot really say which one do the question, but your whole room gonna be able to get the actual credit. All right. Any other questions? Okay, you can raise your hand here or you can type it in the chat if you have any question. Someone said was speaking, Lexus. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I was earlier whenever after we
Okay.
did the first breakout room.
All right. Avante, do you have questions?
So is it you'd be able to meet in person as well? We got to meet in person. Does that count as an attendance?
This one is I can only meet online, not really meet in person. This is kind of
Okay.
like in person, online person actually. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
So
good.
this will count as an attendant. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And if you participate in a discussion room and got a question right, you will also earn an actual point.
Okay.
Starting next week. Yeah. But this one, if you attend virtual one, this will count as attendant. Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Any other question? Anyone else? Okay. If not, I will see you next Saturday, the same time, 9 o'clock. Okay. Have a good weekend.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks. Bye.